Okay, a quick heads up, and this literally took me this long to realize it. Some of the audio in this chapter is completely screwed up. I don't know how, but it got screwed up. Thankfully, the entire video is not like that. It's just some parts of the chapter. I'll hopefully get it fixed by the time I get to the new chapter. Other than that, enjoy. All throughout Rome, protests have been occurring all day and all through the night. Chants of "burn the witches" and "remove the Pope," Papa in Italian, are commonplace. Within Vatican City, it is even worse. Around St. Peter's Basilica, Swiss guards and the Italian law enforcement, the Carabinieri and the Polizia di Stato, are holding back angry oncoming protesters, known as the pro-Celtic mob, with riot shields and tear gas preventing them from breaching into the cathedral. Brawls break out, with gunfire exchanges from some of the pro-Celtic supporters being the most radical atheists, a nasty scene that all would not expect. Inside of the cathedral itself, Pope Pietro Yogdis walks down the long corridor, the nave. His face is full of grim and worry for what is going on outside of the famous cathedral. He thinks back to the moment when President Zenov had informed the European Union and the world. The exposure of magic and sorcery is now becoming common knowledge. His eyes veers up to the massive hole in the ceiling in the process of being repaired by construction workers. That cursed Black Death. If only we killed him much sooner. Well, it's a little too late for that. He looks down from the hole at where the voice is coming from. He stops and puts his hands behind his back. Approaching is Sister Ignace Sanctus. The 13-year-old, in her standard black Grey Cross Roman Catholic robe with the hems being shorter exposing her legs, stops in front of him. She lifts her long left sleeve and adjusts her multi-pencil thin braided red hair and looks up at the hole. In her platform shoes, Champagne, she takes one more step. Sister Ignace, how are you holding up? More difficult than before. I never thought defending this historical building was this hard. Forgive me for being so stressed out. First the Irish Catholic Church was driven out of Ireland. What madness is this? I know how you feel. I can't even step outside of the Vatican without getting bombarded by those corrupted bandits. I fear what might happen once the Civil War finishes. Believe me, it will be worse than before. Pietro and Ignace looks down the nave. They become shocked seeing Camacho, Otanis, and McIntyre inside of St. Peter's Basilica, walking up to the two and stopping 10 feet away from them. Father McIntyre? Camacho? Impossible. The entire cathedral is surrounded by a magical barrier. That cursed right hand. You shall be eradicated immediately. You will do no such thing. And need I remind you of what I did to you when you killed my sister-in-law? He rubs the back of his head and can still feel the pain from the kick from Francis weeks ago. A message to him that the man is nobody's puppet. Even Ignace herself gets PTSD of what McIntyre is capable of. All right, what do you want? McIntyre's eyes veers to the nun. Sister Ignace? Yes, sir? I am requesting for you and your forces to come to Northern Ireland. Ignace becomes dumbfounded and taken aback by his proposal, but the Pope becomes angry. Out of the question! Papa, this is not your decision to make. Only she can, and I am not in the mood to argue with you. If you think I'm just gonna let you get away with taking her away, then... Bagan is on the verge of returning in Northern Ireland. Both Ignace and Petro freezes. Hearing the monster's name sends a sudden chill down their spine. The Pope clenches his chest with his left hand, and the nun is utterly speechless. Are they okay? Give them a second. It can't be. I thought I would never hear that name again. My worst nightmare has come true. His terrified eyes darts to Francis. How could he have gained the list of prohibited books? Admittedly, Sir Camacho was caught off guard by my brother's appearance. Has he gone insane? Not even. And that is the most terrifying thing about him. The Black Death has no sense of morality or common sense. He wouldn't dare to... If you say it like that, then perhaps reality can tell you otherwise. That is why I need Ignace and her battle nuns. I need all of the strength that I can get. I'll do it. Pietro snaps his neck at her. Ignace, have you lost your mind? You can't just... Listen! What's the point of worrying about my life when billions of lives are at stake? Which is worse, one boy from Academy City that has been an enemy of the Catholic Church? Or the possibility of the Catholic Church itself being replaced by a barbaric religion with the Black Death as a prophet and a monster as a god? The Pope is taken aback by her sudden stance and decision. But she does raise a good point. In the past, Kamijo has been an enemy of the Catholic Church, but ever since the Purge, Xenoph has become more and more of a priority. Defeated, he looks back at Toma, Ultinus, and Francis. I'll allow it. Only because we're helping the Irish Catholics, not the Church of England. He turns around, looking down on the floor, and walks away. Ignacy turns her attention to the three. So, what should I do now? Gather all of your battle nuns in Wales, then head for Belfast. All of them? All of them. What did you say to the Pope? Whether we should kill you or Xenoph? He opted for the latter. Right. Also, nice to see that your English has gotten better. If only you learned Italian. Right. Like learning any language is that easy. Hey, you try learning an Asian language without screwing up once. Enough, you two. Sister Ignacy, when can you arrive in Belfast? Possibly in 30 minutes or more. Go now and tell them that Bagan's return is a life or death situation. I don't know if you noticed, but McIntyre creating a portal next to him for Ignacy interrupts her. She looks at the portal, then at the man. Oh, never mind. She jumps into the portal, but it remains open. Huh? Why is it still open? My portals can transport a set of people to 2 different locations, and we have another destination to head to. Where? I do not speak Russian, and you and Ultinus do not as well. But we need Sasha Khrushchev for this mission, and we need a translator. Wait, doesn't Sasha understand English and Japanese well? Yes, but the leader of the Orthodox Church does not. Okay, who's going to be our translator? McIntyre stares at Kamijo with a deadpan look. Jeez, it's Lesser, isn't it? Yes, indeed. Figures. Let's go. Rows of men and women of the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, with drums and bagpipes, stands in formation. Standing on the roof of the New Light headquarters, Lesser's blue eyes are fixated on the guards. Her long, black, yellow-dyed hair flutters in the wind. The 14-year-old slightly adjusts her white undershirt as a white, red, blue sleek jacket with the logo NL on the sleeves, same colored miniskirt, and dragon-like spiritual item flutters in the wind. With her white and red striped leggings on, she sits down cross-legged. The Royal Scots Dragoon Guard starts marching, the drummer starts playing, and the bagpipe sings. Lesser hums along with the tune, and her tail moves along with the notes of Scotland the Brave and contender for the Scottish national anthem. A finger taps her on the shoulder 3 times. She stops and looks behind her. McIntyre waves at her and points behind him with his finger. Kamijo, behind him, is covering his ears to block the sound of the bagpipes playing, and Ultinus, on his shoulder, is enjoying the music. A smile appears on Lesser's face. Within the room, sitting in a chair, the smiling Lesser stares at the 3 while listening to the guard continue to play. So, why did you come here? Have you decided to finally join us, Kamijo? I told you over and over again, no. And what's with that noise outside? Jeez, it's hurting my ears. What, you don't like bagpipes? It and the music represents what the Scottish are. A country with a bunch of people wearing nothing but skirts? His idiotic comment irritates the 14-year-old. They're not skirts, they're all kilts, you stupid idiot. Okay. Anyway, we're here to see if we know about Bagan's return. Yeah, we know already. You do? Word travels fast. And I never knew that you know what the beast is. I learned about it when I joined New Light, so I'm pretty aware of what's going on. Well, that saves us breath. But there is another reason why we came here. What is it? We need Sasha Khrushchev to join us, and we want you to come with us as a translator. Well, sure. What, Kamijo still can't speak Russian? Look, I've gone as far as English, alright? A realization comes to the boy. Wait, if you know about Bagan, doesn't that mean the other 3? The door suddenly opens. 3 girls, wearing the same jacket as Lesser, but different attire with the same colors as Lesser, falls on the floor. Never mind. Not the proper introduction I was expecting. On your feet! In formation! Now! The 18-year-old silver-haired girl, Bailu, in a long-sleeved short shirt, blue leggings, and the horns of wisdom, stands up first. The 15-year-old blonde winged girl, Floris, gets up next and stands up next to her leader. Then, the younger, short brown-haired, headband-wearing girl, Lances, with dragon talons as her fingernails, stands beside Floris. All 3 push their hands behind their backs and stares at the soon-to-be British Prime Minister. That is better. Now, I assume you are aware of Bagan's imminent return, yes? Yes, Father. Yes, sir. Of course, normally, New Light is only to be meant like an army in reserve. But, in this instance, This kind of situation calls for it. Well, we're honored, Sir McIntyre, but with all due respect, I don't feel comfortable going into battle that has nothing to do with us. Plus, what if your brother and his armed forces come across the channel? And to be honest, we can't face the Black Death and or Bagan with the way that we are. That part I can understand. Girls, I understand your concern with the odds you are going up against, but unfortunately, you no longer have a choice in this matter. Hearing Francis' response causes the girls to shudder in fear. And besides, Style is getting, in his words, extra muscle. So you do not have to worry about Xanoff or Bagan. Lesser slouches in her chair. Oh, thank God. Now, you three, head to Belfast, immediately. The three nods and heads out of the room. McIntyre turns his attention to Kamajo, Ultinus, and Lesser, the latter of which has latched on to the former's arm. What the? Can you not? Oh, come on. It won't hurt you. Plus, with what's going on in Russia, I kind of need some protection. Kamajo becomes confused by her words and looks at Francis. Wait, what does she mean by that? I guess I should show you instead of telling you. Huh? A portal opens. Kamajo, with Odinus on his shoulder, pops out, followed by Lesser and McIntyre. Then it closes it behind them. They notice that it is utterly quiet. To their left are the massive brick walls and the Kremlin behind it. In front of it is the mausoleum where the leader of the 1917 October Revolution rests. To the right is the mall where people shop. Where are we? Right in the middle of the Russian capital, Moscow, specifically Red Square. Lesser takes a look at the flag fluttering atop the Moscow Kremlin. Kamijo's eyes starts to the flag as well. It is the same tricolor scheme, but it is upside down and it has the 1936 hammer and sickle design. Why does the flag have a hammer and sickle? Seriously? You haven't been paying attention? It is the official flag of the Soviet Republic of Russia. Kamijo snaps his neck to him, looking completely stunned. Francis' eyes catch St. Basil's Cathedral in the distance. I will explain everything. Come. He walks ahead to the cathedral with Toma and Lesser following behind. You said that your right hand ended the war, right? Well, it turns out that there were unexpected and unintended consequences of your action. Why do you say that? On Halloween, riots were rampant all over Russia. Before the war, policies and living standards were declining from the 1990s, and there were rising tensions between political parties. The country's defeat was the final straw. As a result, the people turned to the one party that was reformed in 1993, the Communist Party. That is right. And as the war ended, the people, with the party's help, cited a rebellion. Then, on November 7th, a revolution occurred, toppling the old government and installing the communists. Afterwards, the leader was chosen. Ironically, it was the founder of the party itself, Dmitry Makarov Yukashvili, the current president. The three stands near the entrance to the cathedral. They spot a soldier in a long overcoat looking the other way. They quickly rush inside without giving any attention away. They step to the front entrance and make their way down the corridor. So, what's been going on as of late? I heard things were getting ridiculous, but not much else. Let us just say, if things were bad in the Vatican, it is even worse here in this country. From the former Tsar's capital, St. Petersburg, to Volgograd next to the river it was named after, protests and riots are widespread, and it is not because of the government's policies. And it all started here, in Moscow. There was fear that the communists would not be favorable to the Orthodox Church. But to everyone's surprise, Yukashvili introduced an act that allowed the orthodoxy to remain as is. Ever since the purge, Xenoph's speech in the Irish Parliament, and the EU, there has been a growing opposition. An opposition that was filled with pro-Celtic, anti-Soviet supporters. While there were peaceful protests, they were overshadowed by the now called pro-Celtic Russians staging civil unrest throughout all of the districts in Moscow, and the other cities in the Republic followed suit. Upon turning a corner, they walked down another corridor. What did the government do? The only thing it had to do: order the police to put down the unrest and restore order. But that only made it worse, to the point where Yugashvili ordered the new secret police to put them down. And that didn't work. Half of the country sided with the pro-Celtic faction and planned an armed revolution. The Kremlin ordered all of the Soviet Republican Army to shut them down. However, half of the armed forces, including the Army, Navy, and Air Force, turned on their friends, their families, and the Soviet government. Wait, that means the war comes to a pair of doors. A second civil war in Russia is inevitable, and it is only a matter of time until Dmitry announces that hostilities have begun. But we need to get who we came here for before it happens. And she is in here. He reaches for the door, but before knocking, they automatically open. He rests his arm down and waits. A blonde, red nun habit-wearing, 28-year-old woman named Vasilisa views who is at the entrance. Oh, it's you, Father McIntyre. Hello, sister. May we come in? Of course. She opens the doors right away and steps aside. McIntyre enters the room first, with Lester and Kamajo falling behind. Once all four is inside of the room, Vasilisa closes the door and walks past them to the desk in front of them. The chair behind the desk turns and reveals the short, blonde-haired 15-year-old boy, Kran Zarzarsky. To his left is a Soviet Army officer, Major General Mikhail Rokossovsky. The other blonde-haired, red cape-hooded girl, wearing leather belts covering her torso and limbs with a layer of clothing covering them in her arms, metal braces on her wrists, ankles, and waist, and a pair of thigh-high stockings, turns around, revealing herself. The 13-year-old Sasha Krutsev becomes surprised to see Lester, and more so Kamajo. He and McIntyre sits down in seats in front of the desk, with Lester remaining standing. Toma notices that the atmosphere, the moment that he and the others stepped in, is much tenser than usual. Then again, waiting for a war to start is nerve-wracking to not just the armed forces, but to the average citizen. Patriarch Zarsky, I am sure that you are aware of the danger hanging over our heads right now. Lester translates what he's saying to the young boy from English to Russian. Yes, I am. Our country is unstable right now, but I know of the Black Death's intentions. Sheesh, even in Russia they call him that. Which is why I'm not going to explain why we came here. For Krutseva? Yes, of course. But before we lend her to you, there are two things that the Kremlin asks of you. McIntyre raises his eyebrows. What are they? First, our government has been granted recognition from China and the United States. We seek the same for Britain and Academy City. Oh, well, when I become Prime Minister, I will see to it. But there is another request from my government. And what would that be, General? There are people who wish to seek shelter from those traitors. Can you guarantee? Of course, but the question is, where? Answer to question. Ukraine, Belarus, and Kazakhstan have allowed refugees to cross through. But there could be the possibilities of the war coming to them. There are no other options, sister. Well, with all that being said, what about you? I'll remain here. It is my duty to protect those who believe in God against any non-believers. And your family in Kursk? They're safe. I promise. The walkie-talkie attached to Rokossovsky's left side goes off. He grabs it and turns around, holding it against his face. The others around him look. This is Rokossovsky. They have? What of Marshal Sukov? Yes, sir. I'll mobilize them right away. The word mobilize gives a signal to Vasilisa, Kranz, and Sasha. Lester knows what it means. What's up? It has begun. Kamajo and McIntyre stand up from their chairs alarmed. Rokossovsky turns to the group. His face is turned into a stern look of a typical general. I've received word from Stavka. The leader of the Green Russians, Pushkin, has mobilized the Green Army on the attack. Suddenly, they can hear faint booms. Francis grips Gaia as it glows bright green. Get down! McIntyre unsheathes Gaia. He drains a wall in front of the main. Kamajo grabs Lester, and they and the others plunge to the ground. The wall of the cathedral in front of the makeshift one explodes, sending in black smoke and debris inside. The smoke covers the room, but quickly exits and is replaced by the cold rushing breeze. All within the room coughs to get rid of the dust within. Is everyone okay? We're alive! Please don't tell me that was what I think it was. They all step back to their feet as the makeshift wall turns to dust. They look out into the outside. Immediately, their reaction is one of shock. Massive explosions going all over the capital. Massive explosions going up all over the capital. Whistling shells, tracers flying above, and cannons going off on both sides. Russia's second civil war begins. Oh my God. Comrades, quickly, get to safety! And McIntyre, remember that promise. Comrade Rokossovsky, you have my word. Rokossovsky runs out of the room with Vasilisa and Zarsky following behind him. Francis creates a portal beside him. Lester, take Sasha and jump through, quick! As the two jumps through, he looks to Kamajo and Otinus. Last stop, southern Japan. Jumping out of the portal, Kamijo, Ultinus, and McIntyre lands in the middle of the forest. Okay, where are we now? Near the base of Mount Unzen in Shimabara, very close to the hideout of the Amakusa. Kamijo looks ahead, and sure enough, he sees a wooden house only 12 yards away from him. Holy shit. I need a breather. I would say that would not be the good time to do that. Why? Seeing as the Amakusa dates back during the Tokugawa shogunate, I can assure that when it comes to intruders, they tend to eliminate them. You could have told me that beforehand! You never asked. Oh, fuck off! McIntyre hears rustling within the trees. A member of the Amakusa, Maida, jumps out with a spear in hand and dashes from the man's head. Frances turns around and she stops herself in her tracks. From the McIntyre! She lowers her spear, then bows. I am so sorry. I didn't recognize you. You are forgiven. Where is your priestess? I'm right here, Sensei. He, Toma, and Ultinus look to the left and spots Kinzaki approaching them. Behind her are her 52 members of the Amakusa remix-style church. The skinny, messy, spiky-haired 25-year-old Seiji Tatamiya, in his loose oversized shirt with a slanted red cross, navy blue sweatpants, and long shoelace basketball shoes, approaches beside Kinzaki. He adjusts his 3-inch minifans on his thin rope around his neck and puts the 70-inch 17th century two-handed long Glenberg sword on his shoulder and smiles with arrogance. Ah, you must be that McIntyre I heard about. Indeed I am. A pleasure to meet you, Sir Tatamiya. Hey, you're right. He is a gentleman. His attention turns to Kamijo. Hey, Toma. How you been? Almost getting killed by an artillery shell. Oof. Sorry to hear that. But I do got someone who can cheer you up. Hey, Izuwa, come on up! The 15-year-old Izuwa, with her black, purple highlighted bob-cut hair and fringes, and wearing a pink, long-sleeved shirt, khaki jeans, and sneakers, is kicked in the butt in front of the crowd, and in front of McIntyre and Kamijo. Nervous, she bows her head. It's nice to meet you, sir. Likewise. And judging by your behavior, you seem to be a nervous wreck. You must have confidence when you meet someone for the first time. Hearing his words, she smiles comfortably. Her anxiety disappears as she sees Kamijo smiling at her. Hey, I told you they'd be perfect together. Unlikely, because despite the two being the same age, Sir Kamijo already has someone in Academy City. And then the feeling within Izuwa turns into utter defeat, causing her to collapse to her knees. Kamijo darts his eyes to him. Jeez, Francis, why not make it worse? I see you are not denying it. Shit. Anyhow, Kaori, is everyone ready? Yes, sir. Good. And I know that Style is having his hands full with who he's going to get, seeing as we need extra strength to deal with Bagan. Shockwave shakes the ground. Flashes goes off within the forest. Outside of Birmingham, the muscular-built former Aqua of the Rear, William Orwell, in his polo shirt with a blue base, blue jeans and shoes, and the tall, blonde, blue-eyed 35-year-old leader of the Knights of England, Alexander Marshall, in a dark gray three-piece suit, lands on their feet. The two saints of different fighting styles are locked in a training exercise, but not against one another. A golem made entirely out of dirt and rock is their training partner, and its controller, the African-British, messy blonde-haired 27-year-old Sherry Cromwell in a pitch-black, Braille God-style clothing and holding a piece of chalk in her hand, is watching. Oh, come on! Is that all you got? My Alice is much weaker than you! I do not need your opinion on this matter. And forgive me for being so rusty. Also, it seems to me that you're losing your self-awareness. Oh, don't you dare start! Am I interrupting? The three turns their attention to Magnus, approaching from behind the trees with a cigarette in his mouth. Not really. I was just getting these two back into shape. Really? How are they? They haven't missed a beat. Good enough. Honestly, I was hoping I could fight the Black Death and not Bagan. Oh, I nearly died from that demon, so I guess this is my chance of revenge. Well, there you go. There's your motivation. Personally, I wish I never witnessed Bagan in the first place, but here we are again. It's the only reason why I'm helping the Catholic Church. Right. Shall we head to Belfast? After you.